Welcome back. This is Michael Lynch, and this is the Men Seeking Freedom podcast. Very excited today to have Brian Snow join us from Snowman Multimedia. Brian, welcome. Thank you for joining us. Tell us a little bit about you and Snowman Multimedia.
I started Snowman Multimedia by uh 30 years ago. I got into play-by-play broadcasting at Chicago State University off of an idea because I listened to a lot of Bulls games back home in Chicago, and that's how I recognized my favorite play-by-play announcer of all time, which is the late Jim Durham. And I had a very simple philosophy: if Jim Durham can make it, I can make it. So that night, December 7th, 1995, I went for it. I had a friend check out a camera and I said, "Can you attach a microphone to that camera?" My friend Kevin said, "Yeah, what kind of idea do you have in mind?" So, well, I want to try something. Got permission to tape the broadcast, and that was my first call, Northern Illinois at Chicago State. And as the saying goes, we created a monster. And from then we were off to the races.
Well, so what's interesting about that little ditty is so you were a naturally courageous person out of the gate to try things. Is that a fair thing to say?
Got it from my dad.
Tell me about him.
William Otis Snow Jr. He was the one in the household when my sister and I were kids that would sense tension, be it with homework, be it with stuff to be done around the house. He would do or say something totally goofy and have us laughing so hard our stomachs would hurt. But he also, bless his heart, told it like it was. He taught me never to give up on anything. And if there's so many things I remember about dad, but if there's one thing I can and take with me every day, he always said to me, "Don't let anyone, including your mother or me, stop you from chasing your dreams." When I got into broadcasting, uh, he was my biggest critic, but he was also my biggest supporter. And I have his spirit through my wife, Jody. Dad was a nut. And I mean that in the most loving way because he would watch Looney Tunes with me. He would watch game shows with me. He got me into baseball. He and my grandfather got me into baseball and got me into sports. He also taught me to read the box scores, understand the box scores. He also taught me education was first above any and everything else. And sometimes when I was going through something, he just understood and wrapped his arms around me. When I lost him in 2007 to prostate cancer, that was my hero. And I miss him to this day.
How nice to have that type of father figure in life. Thanks for thanks for sharing that. Now we're going to keep you emotional. You were kind enough to share that you just experienced a 3-year anniversary. We're going to kind of fast forward a little bit. Tell this audience that likes it when men reveal themselves. Tell them about what you're celebrating.
This all started in 2021 when I was coming out of the restroom at home and I got dizzy and I fell. My daughter jumped to the rescue. My daughter, Sonia, called 911. Then my wife came running after she heard me fall. And were it not for those two pretty girls, I would not have wound up in the hospital and would not have discovered that I had blood clots in both my lungs. And was laying on the operating table. They got all the blood clots out. They cleaned everything up. But then there was a bigger fight because a month later, there was a mass on the left side of my abdomen, which after a biopsy turned out to be pancreatic cancer. And it got to stage 4. So went through chemotherapy, oral chemotherapy. And anybody who's going through cancer right now, first of all, God bless you if you're still here. And second of all, chemotherapy is not fun because it is poison. It will wipe you out. And I was only on it for 3 months and I'm still feeling those effects 3 years later. By 2021, we had moved, but then we drove back to North Carolina and they told us there was nothing they could do. Many tears were shed on the drive back. And my wife said, no, I'm not having this. So while I was fogged out of my mind, she found employment. She got insurance. She kept me in good spirits. God love her. God love you, Jody. And I met my oncologist in in February of 2022. That led to a phone call to IU Medical Center in Indianapolis. And then 3 weeks later, I met the fellow who would perform the surgery that would save my life, Dr. Attila Nakib. I looked him in the eye. Talk about being adventurous. I looked him in the eye and I said, "Can you get this thing?" He said, "We'll get it." He made me that promise. He said, we'll get it. April 4th of 2022, it was a 5.5-hour surgery, a lot longer than expected, but surgery was done. The cancer was removed. And it's been a long way back because the recovery, for me, was more mental than physical. Because any man that goes through cancer, your physical abilities are taken from you immediately. And when your physical abilities are taken from you, your mental state changes in a heartbeat. Because now, for a long time, you'll feel, I will never be able to support my family, which is what, to present day, I'm still struggling with, because I have not been able to find consistent employment or keep it, because I have to work remotely now. Because aside of the pancreatic cancer, I've had 2 toes amputated. I have stage 3 kidney disease. I was in a wheelchair for the better part of a year and lost my legs, the strength in my legs, which I'm slowly building back. And I'll say it again, anyone who's gone through any man who's gone through all kinds of health problems. And the thing is, with everything that I've been through, including the cancer, including the blood clots, squish that all into 3.5 years. Squish all that into 3.5 years and tell me your mental capacity won't be tested, or your emotional capacity won't be tested, or the feelings you'll get of depression, anxiety, and everything else, where you just want to walk off a cliff and not come back, especially when you don't have the support system and the people pulling you back from the cliff saying, "Man, why are you giving up?" My wife flat told me, "I feel like you're giving up," which turned the spigot on for me. And as I said, it's been a long way back. And as of yesterday, in remission 3 years. It was
The pancreatic condition.
from the pancreatic cancer. It was on that day. Wife and I went to the doctor's office for an update. And wife said, we want to wait until April 4th, which is the surgery anniversary, to see if he's in remission. And I got this goofy smile on my face, because that's when my oncologist looked at us and said, "Oh, the remission's already started." We looked at each other and went, "What?" He said, "Yeah, this is a strong kid. The remission's already started." I can't dance worth a lick, but I was dancing out of that office.
So you've alluded to some of the support. So when you get hit with all that, and your instincts, you get discouraged, but your instincts and loved ones, summarize the Brian Snow methodology to maintain sanity while hit with all that adversity?
My methodology. Well, part of it is walking by me because my pretty wife always found a way to keep me laughing. My beautiful daughter Sonia always found a way to be goofy around me, as does Cheyenne, my son Dakota, my daughter Sam, all my friends. Even when I was in a dark, dark place, found a way to keep me laughing. That's one reason I keep a bunch of Looney Tunes on my computer. So when I do laugh, when I do need a laugh, I go to them. And having a sedentary lifestyle while I continue to work on media gives you something men don't talk about, and that is a horrible case of cabin fever. And I don't have a car right now, so I can't get out and get around, although I do use my wife's vehicle, but I don't want to put any more pressure on her than necessary. And that fear has been driving me more than anything else. Being able to provide for her and for once giving her a break. Just giving her a break where she doesn't have to worry about any and everything, where she didn't have to make all the decisions. Because if there's two things my wife blessed me with that some days I still wonder how that happened, she gave me a voice in the relationship, and she also gave me a choice. She gave me the power of opinion. She will ask me, even if it's about the littlest things, I'm like, what do you think about this? What do you think about that? And I got to admit, sometimes I'm like a deer in headlights. Like, wait, she wants my opinion on this? Because most men are asked to tamp that down. Most men, no, let me change my sentence. Most men are told to tamp that down. Let me just be totally real. They're told to tamp that down. And this beautiful lady says, can I have your opinion on something? When a man hears that question from a woman and it's so sincere, you freeze. You're a deer in headlights. Like, wait, what?
It's flattering.
Yeah.
It's flattering.
It's wonderful. It took me a long time to use it. Because what usually happens, we've seen it before, when a man is given a chance and an opinion in a relationship and he does use it, what usually happens? Backfires. He's criticized for it. With this one, she's like, come on, man, just tell me what you think. Give me a little bit of an idea. That's what makes the dynamic between my wife and I so wonderful, because we bounce ideas off of each other. We bounce thoughts off of each other. And we are truly partners. This is my partner in crime, and I celebrate her as well as any anniversary that we achieve every day. I mean, if it was not for Jody, I would not be here.
As a man who's been divorced for 11 years, one of the interesting things that's been an outcome of that, in addition to the growth, is my ears perk up when I hear people like you talk. And I'm referring now specifically to what you're saying about your relationship. And as I listen to what you say, I can tell it's authentic. My reaction to you saying what you said is, I wish more people in relationships. I'm seeking a special relationship that I would love to have play out the way you're talking about it. I can't, no matter what you're going through, thank you for being a voice of, wow, so that is possible to have. You can love someone, you can that to me, when you're talking about asking each other for advice, that's like the ultimate level of it's love and respect.
It is
into one. Is that how you would put it? Or
it's love and respect, and more love and more respect, because I can't tell you or show you the amount of respect I have for my wife, who has brought me a snack right now. Thank you, sweetie.
She's even
This
scoring
I tell you
points
what,
as we
man.
speak.
I tell you what, man, 8 years I have been with this wonderful woman. 7 years married. We'll be celebrating our 7th anniversary this summer.
Congrats.
She knows me better most days than I know myself. Seriously, because I'm here in front of this computer, in front of this microphone, and just now she would like grab a snack and bring it to me, and I do the same for her. The respect factor with Jody and I is through the roof. Because if you don't respect your partner, then what the heck else do you have? What the hell else do you have? The love won't grow, right? The emotion won't grow. The emotion is cut off. It's cut completely off. As I said, I cannot put into words the amount of respect I have for Jody. I cannot put into words the amount of respect I have for my children.
If I can just share a part of a vision I have for men seeking freedom, I would hope most, if not all men, could speak the way you just have. And if they're not able to at that moment, look to people like yourself and say, I would like to speak. I don't want you to be the only one, Brian, no offense. But I hope that mindset and that behavior is contagious.
It's taken me a while to get here. Just to be totally real. It has taken me a while to get here because I too have gone through divorce. I've gone through a couple of abusive relationships, and the last one really wrecked me. And it put me on the brink of ending it. I cannot be any more real than I am right now. The last abusive relationship that I had put me on the brink of ending it. And it wasn't, before I met Jody, my last relationship was not so much physical abuse, but emotional abuse, mental abuse. Told off, and we don't talk anymore. You try your best to talk to the person, but they don't listen to you. And then you call them out on something they said. Like the young lady I was dating before I met Jody said, I'm not going to hang out with my old friends anymore because they would do nothing but get me into trouble, and I would not be able to take care of my son. Well, one night she did that. I called her on it, and I was respectful in doing so, and everything closed. So the one thing I do applaud for Jody is that when I say something and I don't follow through, she calls me on it immediately and gets me to think about it. But she wraps it in affection. She wraps it in love and says, you get back to being yourself. You know, and I do this. I do the same for her. You know, you got to keep each other accountable, but you got to hold each other also in doing this.
Love it. Love it. One of the things you had shared prior to the podcast was a phrase that caught my eye, and it tied into one of my favorite words, freedom. Your quote was, freedom isn't financial first, it's physical, mental, and spiritual.
Mm-hmm.
Tell the audience a little bit about what that means to you.
What are men called to do? Be providers, be financial providers. No one cares about their mental freedom. No one cares about their physical freedom. And no one certainly cares in today's society about their emotional freedom. Me, I'm off the beaten path because I saw my dad go through it when he had cancer. Emotionally and physically and mentally, he was wrecked. He was wrecked. And I'm not going to be anybody else but what my dad taught me to be. And speaking of freedom, come here, little one.
Uh-oh. Speaking of someone who's got probably a lot of freedom.
This is Winnie.
Winnie.
Yep. This is Winnie.
Now, is this your only baby of the four-legged nature, or do you have more?
Three of these little ones. This is Winnie. We also have Pumpkin, and we have Binks, and then there's Lucy, my dog, our dog, who, when I met Jody, hopped out of the. Jody told me when we were dating, She said, you have to pass the Lucy test. I said, who's Lucy? She sent me a picture of Lucy, who was hogging the bed. And I didn't think it was possible for a 15-pound dog to hog the bed until it happened. So Jody said, you have to pass the Lucy test. Lucy hopped out of the car, gave me a quick once over, hopped back in as if she was giving me the seat, saying, you're good.
Oh, oh, okay. Oh, good. I thought you were getting the blow off there for a minute. Oh, okay. Oh, good. Good.
Since that day, Lucy has been attached to my hip. Every time I've gone to the hospital and we've come home, she's the first one to greet me. And I would fall into bed because my body was so exhausted, and she'd attach herself to my hip in a heartbeat.
Let's that's, by the way, awesome. Thank God bless you for loving people and animals. I want to ultimately get to helping you, but I have a question I'd love to ask people. And you're a person of faith. What do you want people to know about how you've been gifted with a beautiful wife and family? How have you, in terms of individual abilities, feel like you've been gifted?
Recognizing it. Recognizing it. Even with the fights that's going on for me financially and with my nerves and everything and my emotion, recognizing it. Recognizing the fact that I do have these gifts. Recognizing the fact that they are going to be there. Because you've heard it so many times, and many men have heard it also. If it sounds too good to be true, it usually is. That especially applies to men in relationships. This ain't no illusion. This is Jody K. This is the love of my life. These are my children. Even this one right here in my lap right now. And for the longest time, I operated in fear that I'm going to make one mistake after everything that's happened to me before, and it's all going to disappear. Nah, it's not going to disappear. As long as you're good to them, as they are good to you, you're solid. I had to really come to that realization to get a big part of my strength back. And it's like I said a moment ago, I had to recognize the fact that I was blessed with this family. I can't operate in fear anymore for anything. In fact, when you asked earlier, was I always a man that took risks and not afraid to take risks and try something new? That's the attitude I had to get back to. The attitude of I'm not afraid anymore. I had to get back to that. And it's taken a long time for me to get there, especially after all of my health crises and everything else that happened. It took a long time to get there. And there are some days where I would kind of step off the wagon, but I'm like, nah, I don't like that bumpy landing.
Overcoming fear, feeling fearless.
Mm-hmm.
It's few can reach that place. So okay, so you're a spiritual man. You're a gifted man. You're an engaging man. You know how to communicate. What is it, as you talk about your pursuit of vocation at this stage of life? Tell the audience about, is there something you say to yourself, if I could do X, this would make me so happy, based on how I'm gifted and motivated? Is there anything you can share about envisioning your future? What would be wonderful for you in that sense?
Well, like you, I want to use my platform to help men. I have seen men go through hell and never have a chance to get pulled back from the brink. I have seen men go through hell physically, mentally, and emotionally. And I figure I'm in two communities now. I am a man who has been abused, and I'm a man who has gone through and survived cancer. My wife came up with one heck of an idea, and that's to get a big fat RV and travel the country and talk to people about it and talk to men about it, because it hurts my heart to see men go through everything and not have the support system that they A, need, and B, deserve.
So that's pretty clear in terms of where you see your speaking, having a voice from experience,
Mm-hmm.
having a voice from knowing what's on the other side of these incredible challenges. Have you looked for, speaking opportunities or things of that nature to where you can tell your story, or are you in the process of executing a plan like that now?
Not there yet. There's a few immediate things that I want to get reestablished first. And that is taking a whole bunch of financial pressure off this pretty lady behind me who was working in her office, because now that I have that no fear attitude, I want to apply it. I want to get back working. I want to get back driving so I can drive her around and take her on a date instead of vice versa. See, what men have been taught from the beginning is that when it comes to dating, especially, you're supposed to drive the woman out on a date and things like that. And I want to get back to doing that. Do I love when Jody does that for me? Absolutely. Love her to death for that. But at the same time, with everything that I've gone through, a part of me was taken away, and it ain't fair. And I want it back.
Where did the I think I'm really focusing in on overcoming overcoming fear. Obviously, the events that you've been through plus love and support is part of it. What are some other things people don't think about when it comes to you should be doing this if you want to overcome fear? Do you have any thoughts on, in addition to some of the things that you've already shared?
Your own path determines your own journey. You will get advice from all over the place. But if that advice doesn't sit right with you, don't do it. Because what if you do it and then you feel worse? What if you do it and then you feel even more crossed up than a catcher trying to catch a knuckleball when he called for a curveball? Dennis Eckersley, anybody?
Kirk Gibson, anybody?
Or Gibson?
See, now everybody watch. First of all, everybody watching this. Now, Brian and I just met, but everybody watching or listening to this has got to get to know. Well, has to get to know him on a lot of levels. But the sports one is one of them. And here's the good news with that, Brian. No matter how timid men may be with building relationships with other men and hearing your story, sports is always a great icebreaker.
It's an icebreaker and an equalizer.
Yeah.
Think about it. It's an icebreaker and an equalizer, because before we came on the air, that's what we were talking about. Different sports.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Edie, do you have any particular mentors that you want to give a shout out to that played a role in like I said, in addition to the great, obviously, marriage you're in, other people that guide you, have given you some advice that benefits you as a man?
So many of them. My friend Cole Johnson, who was executive producer of my show for a while, saying just kept telling me every day, don't give up, don't give up, don't be. The biggest advice that Cole gave me was don't be the jack of all trades and master of none. Will Otero, aka Wise El Jefe, that man has taken off on his media career, and it all began with a podcast, and he has gotten himself so together, and I am so proud of him. Same advice he gave me. He said, stick with it, but get organized. And he's really taught me about being, he's really taught me about being organized about things. Um, Shane Lake, my current producer, always tells me every day, if you're not feeling it, don't do it. Because he will read my emotions and the exhaustion in a heartbeat, and he won't even ask. He'll say, I'm pulling the show. I want you to rest. I want you to get ready for tomorrow. There's there's too many men to thank that have
That's a
been with
nice
me
problem
along
to
this
have.
journey. Yeah, there's too many men to thank besides the one I've thanked already along this journey.
I have one final selfish question before I
Okay.
ask you about how people can reach out to you. Here's my final selfish question. How did you find that kind of love?
It found me.
If what
I am
did you
as
do to have it
honest.
attracted to you?
I am as honest as I can be. It found me because I can tell you, after all of the strikes in relationships, all the strikes in life, losing my daughter at age 2, it could have made me as it could have made me as bitter as my bones felt coming back from cancer. But the right people found me and said, no, this is not you. And they would tell me that every time, like, this is not you. This is not who you are. And hearing that encouragement every day, and for me, a lot of the time, not taking it, but them being so consistent and insistent with it. It's like, man, this is not you. We know you. And you hear that and you think, well, how the hell do you know? And then you stop your question and you think about it. Wait a minute. They do know me. They've been in my life for a long time. They do know me. So knowing that, it found me. I'm being myself again. It took me a long time, as I said before, to get back there, but I'm being myself. And the smiles and the laughter and the goofiness, because Lord knows I love being goofy with my wife and my kids. And especially, let me shout out my son Dakota, because it took a while, because all my children are through marriage. It took a while for me to know him, to get to know him. One morning he called me and he said, can I take you out to breakfast? I need to talk about something. And I sat straight up in bed and I went, wait, what? And then I thought, sure, why not? We hung out for a couple of hours and had the best conversation.
It's another example of seeking advice.
Mm-hmm.
Brian, where is it that folks watching, listening to this, seeing the charming personality and the great story you have, how can people reach out to you at this point?
They can find me through all of my social medias, Instagram, Facebook. The ID you need is BSNOW Multimedia, B Snow Multimedia. They can check out my programming through YouTube, search the tag at Snowman Multimedia. And the biggest thing is that I'm still on the road to recovery. And a lot of that is financial because we are still dealing with medical bills. So I took a chance and I started a GoFundMe to help myself and my wife and my family. And I want to take a lot of pressure off of my wife, and I want to get back active again and get back out in the public. So if you go to gofundme.com/snowman's road to recovery and read that entire story, that's where you can find it, because that's the main effort I'm putting together right now. Because as I said, there's a pretty lady that married me 7 years ago, and I don't want to let her down. I want to get back on my feet.
Well, in closing, God bless you, my friend.
Thank you.
You deserve, and your family deserves nothing but the best. Thank you for honoring the spirit of this community of being a man who can speak from the inside about what he's gone through. It's such a, for as much as it's challenging to hear the story, it's inspiring to hear the part of what you've overcome, Brian. So thank you. To the rest, if you found value in this, please share. This would help both of us out. You can find me at menseekingfreedom.com, and I'll see you on the next episode.